immediately start looking at them. This woman is found behind a shopping center, horribly, savagely murdered. She's stabbed multiple times.
Joe Rogan fans, buckle up! In a recent JRE episode, Joe sat down with two heavyweights in the fight for justice, Josh Dubin and J.D. Tomlinson, to dive deep into one of the most shocking wrongful conviction cases in American history, the Ohio Four. This story is filled with corruption, false testimony, and a fight for freedom that will leave you speechless. So stick around. We're breaking down everything you need to know about the Ohio Four case, the incredible advocacy work of Josh Dubin, and some surprising facts about his personal life that you probably didn't know. Trust me, this story is as intense as any true crime documentary, except it's real life, and the consequences are heartbreaking. Let's start with the Ohio Four case, a case that exposes the dark side of America's justice system. In the 1990s, four men were wrongfully convicted of the murder of Marsha Blakely, a crime they had absolutely nothing to do with.
Ohio Four are four gentlemen that were wrongfully convicted of a murder they didn't commit. And the last time I came on, we talked extensively about the case. You could read about it at freetheohio4.com.
Now, here's where it gets crazy. The police initially focused on these four men, not because of any solid evidence, but because of community rumors and drug-related activities happening in the neighborhood. They were essentially scapegoats, easy targets for a quick conviction. The case hinged on the testimony of one key informant, William Avery Jr., who claimed to have witnessed the crime, but his story was full of holes from the beginning. No physical evidence tied the four men to the crime scene. No forensic proof, nothing. Just Avery's word, which, as it turns out, was completely unreliable. And here's the kicker. Avery later admitted he had lied. He fabricated his testimony in exchange for reward money. He was desperate, and the authorities were willing to take advantage of that desperation to close the case quickly. But it's even worse than that. The U.S. Secret Service had already flagged Avery's testimony as unreliable, yet the prosecution pushed forward with the case anyway. They ignored the red flags and allowed this flawed testimony to form the backbone of their case, case, and the jury bought it. All four men were convicted, life sentences, and just like that, their lives were destroyed. And if you think that's bad, it gets even darker. After the convictions, Avery finally came clean. He admitted his father had pressured him into lying about what he saw. He was manipulated into sending four innocent men to prison. But the justice system didn't want to listen. Even after the confession, the authorities were more focused on protecting their previous decisions than correcting the injustice. Avery was even warned by a judge that if he testified about his false testimony, he could face perjury charges. Imagine that, being threatened with jail time for trying to tell the truth. So Avery backed down, and the Ohio Four remained behind bars, victims of a broken system. But that's where Josh Dubin and J.D. Tomlinson come in, and their fight for justice will give you chills. Let's talk about Josh Dubin, because this guy is a legend in the legal world. Josh isn't just any lawyer, he's a top-tier legal strategist who knows how to fight the system and win. Josh founded Dubin Research and Consulting, a powerhouse firm that helps shape high-stakes criminal and civil cases. He's the guy lawyers call when they need to select the perfect jury or craft a winning trial strategy. He knows how to read a courtroom, how to frame an argument, and how to influence the outcome of a trial, and that makes him dangerous to anyone trying to cover up the truth.
The lesser of all the evils finally start catching up with us, and it's so, it's so politically driven. If people were more aware of how politically driven some of these prosecutions are, and then you put your finger on the nerve root.
Josh is also the first ever Innocence Ambassador Advisor for the Innocence Project, an organization dedicated to exonerating the wrongfully convicted through DNA testing and legal advocacy. He's been instrumental in getting people released from prison after years, sometimes decades, of wrongful imprisonment. But Josh doesn't just care about winning cases, he cares about fixing the system. He's passionate about criminal justice reform, fighting against prosecutorial misconduct, and making sure that no one else suffers the same fate as the Ohio Four. And when it comes to the Ohio Four, Josh worked with J.D. Tomlinson to push for a full review of the case, exposing the corruption and misconduct that led to these wrongful convictions.
About whether or not they could reimburse him for expenses if they have to fly him to Florida or, get him to a place where he feels safe, because he felt like if he told the truth again, that there would be consequences for him.
Now, here's the twist. J.D. Tomlinson was actually a prosecutor himself. That's right. The guy who helped expose the Ohio 4 injustice was once part of the system that convicted them. But Tomlinson is one of those rare people who was willing to stand up and say, "This is wrong." When Tomlinson reviewed the case, he saw the cracks immediately: the flawed testimony, the lack of evidence, the cover-ups. And he decided to do something about it, even though it meant taking on the political establishment. Tomlinson's decision to fight for the Ohio 4 led to major backlash. His career took a hit. He faced pressure from powerful figures in the legal world who didn't want the case reopened. But Tomlinson stood his ground, proving that sometimes the only way to fix the system is from the inside. Now, let's step away from the courtroom for a second, because Josh Dubin's personal life is just as fascinating. Josh is married to the talented interior designer Josh Dubin, and they live in a stunning, renovated 1903 Park Slope brownstone in Brooklyn with their 3 kids. This place is gorgeous, classic New York charm with modern touches. When he's not fighting for justice, Josh is all about family. He manages to balance his high-pressure career with quality time at home, whether it's helping his kids with homework or just relaxing with his wife. It's a side of him most people don't get to see, but it shows that he's grounded despite the high-stakes nature of his work. And get this, Josh isn't just a lawyer. He's also a published author. He co-wrote the book, The Law of Juries, for Thomson Reuters, where he's described as a master strategist. That's the kind of reputation you can't fake. Now, you're probably wondering, how much is Josh Dubin worth? Well, reports vary. Some estimate his net worth at around $1 million, while others place it closer to $100 million. Either way, Josh Dubin isn't just making money, he's making a difference. But here's the real takeaway. The Ohio 4 case isn't just about these 4 men. It's about the cracks in the justice system and the urgent need for reform. Josh Dubin and J.D. Tomlinson are showing us that even when the system is broken, there's hope. But it takes courage, strategy, and people who are willing to fight for the truth. Wrongful convictions destroy lives, not just for those imprisoned, but for their families, their communities, and the broader faith in the justice system. Cases like the Ohio 4 show that the system isn't just flawed, it's dangerous, and if we don't fix it, more innocent people will suffer. But there's hope, and it starts with people like Josh Dubin and J.D. Tomlinson. Their work is proof that justice isn't impossible. It just takes relentless dedication and a refusal to accept injustice as just the way things are. So what can you do? Start by visiting freetheohio4.com. Learn about the case, spread awareness, and support organizations like the Innocence Project that are working to stop wrongful convictions. Every voice matters, and your support can help bring justice to those still trapped in the system. And if you want to hear more mind-blowing conversations like this, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on the next breakdown. Justice isn't just a legal issue, it's a human issue. Let's fight for it together.